Hello, guys. How are you doing on this Saturday? It's extremely warm here in Denmark, a late summer for once that is extremely hot. So that's good if you like that. But September with a warm, beautiful weather, that's pretty cool. So yeah, as always, guys, you know where to find me on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter or X, as it is called, in this day and age, use link INB. Also, you have the option to follow me on Substack. I know not many people are on Substack, but that's where I do, the daily updates if you want to get into that stuff. And also, of course, like guys, if you want to like and subscribe for the YouTube, please do so. It's highly appreciated. We will go through some of the gold and silver miners that I'm following at the moment. Because hopefully, again, nothing is certain, but again, I'm quite confident in the fact that at some point here we will get a big drop in the gold to silver ratio, and that will cause a big spike in the miners. So we will go through the list here. It's pretty long, so you maybe have to pause here and get your coffee or water or whatever you're drinking, a little snack maybe. So again, this is a mix of big players, small players, nano caps, juniors, a lot of stuff. And one thing to note for these, especially the smaller ones, is that they're really difficult to chart sometimes because small players, not much liquidity, in that stock, all that good stuff. You know how it is. So we will start out with the AGX, that's Silver X Mining here. Very small player, by the way. And we have been buying a tiny bit up here. Again, this is such a small player that I am personally playing with a teeny tiny position, but also with no stop. Some people say, "Oh, you're an idiot." Maybe, but again, these small guys here, they when and if we resume, these will be, in my opinion, be doing extremely well. We are right now at 0. In this zone here, 0.17 to 0.8. Excuse me, 0.2. And you can see it has been acting as support, basically ever since. But again, the more you pound on that level, but I mean, you could risk, the move to the downside. So the long could, again, where you could be adding in a bit more is if when and if we basically get above that high here. Yes, we can break out and all that, mm, but yeah, so getting into the 30s is definitely really interesting. I have my mixed moving average. And what do I mean by mixed moving average? Usually, I don't play with moving averages. There are two that I respect that I like to have on just for guidance. One is the 30 weekly. I like the 30 weekly moving average a lot. And then this mixed one here which is basically like a mix of long-term, short-term, mid-term, just to get a general idea about, the overall trend. Again, don't use moving averages for trading signals like golden cross, death cross, all that stuff. It doesn't work. You can have it as a filter, but don't use it purely. Hey, death cross, be short. Golden cross, we go long. You will lose money. No one has ever. Well, that's a big assumption, but it's very unlikely that if you only have that, in the bag, you will definitely get left behind. Here we have Kia. Again, remember these. Some of them are small. 30 million, right? That's tiny. Um, And also remember, I always have it on log scale. So Kia Gold here is still in a downtrend. We haven't had any big major breakouts. But again, we could become close here very shortly. And that is, we have an overall. This is the big one. This is the big player we haven't touched yet. So where we stand now, roughly 50, 0.5, excuse me, is, big resistance. But again, until we get there, we have an internal here, which we want to break. And we currently bounced off that floor. Breakout, that's good. And actually both flagging here now. So it is trying to get into a bit more bullish mode. But again, until we really clear, and get into above the moving averages and the long-term downtrend lines, it's not the best. But again, the entry that we talked about on the channel on the Substack right there has done really well. Obviously, some of them we get right, some of them we get wrong. Of course, no one is 100%, and anyone telling you that they are close to 100% is probably, yeah, you know. So Q here is still charging potentially, and if it can break, then we have a chance to hit 0.5 here. There's also some tiny bit of overhead here. You can see like an inverted head and shoulders there. So again, there are possibilities, and we will hopefully, if we can start to move, we can see the big breakouts, late 2024. SSV looks better, to be honest. Still not, like the most exciting, insanely uptrend chart. Of course not, but again, here we have a little bit of a structure here that I kind of like. I just want to make these a bit smaller there. So what you can see here is the long-term downtrend goes back 20 years or so. Actually, pretty dead on 20 years. And we finally broke here 2020 together with, basically that's when we had a lot of gold, silver miners doing really, really well. We have a ceiling here, roughly 0.65. Again, that's a big ceiling. However, this is also an upsloping trend line here, connecting the lows. So usually, again, hopefully we'll form this bull flag here and we can potentially attack, and then we can go higher into 2025. That would be ideal. If we ever lose, again, this one down here, then you should be very careful. Maybe we have a phantom here. We have the trend line. We paste that for a parallel. So again, that's kind of like a rail here. But for now, here's zooming in. I mean, I quite like this one here. We have the overall, trend here where we just went down, sideways to down, together with basically every gold and silver miner, and we finally broke, tested it low, and then we are consolidating here. So if we can get a move, I'm expecting to see 0.64. Expecting, it's not a certainty, but again, that's what I expect when we break such a bull flag just above previous resistance, now support. SVG is a really, really, really small play of 5 million. So I know that these can be the ones with the biggest gains, but they are also the ones with the absolute highest risk when it comes to dilution, going bankrupt. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with these extremely small companies. So therefore, only use a tiny, tiny position, like a 0.1, 0.2% maybe of your portfolio. If it does, 10x, maybe, I don't know, or 20x, do really big gains, you will still come out pretty nicely on top of that. Don't risk it all, guys. That's purely, yeah, that leads to failure very often. Overall here, I'm having an eye on this 15-year inverted head and shoulders. Also, we have a trend line going here, again, retesting the long-term trend line, which is not the perfect, again, if you have such a small stock, typically you don't get perfect signals. And we're basically waiting for a break above right here. Boom, there it is. You can see internally here, we have some touches right there. There it is, all the way above. We tagged here again, double resistance came down. And if we can get above 0.15, that's when things are getting very interesting, because we have a chance of grinding it higher to actually complete the right shoulder. Usually we get a little bit of a dribble and then we go higher. But keep in mind, until we resolve here, I mean, don't do anything. And I think you need to have limit orders for these small ones here. Placing a market order, you will definitely gonna pay for the spread that there is. So 8G, one of my favorites, to be honest. I really have great hopes of aftermath. I think it will perform extremely well in this hopefully oncoming. What's going on here? In this oncoming bull market again, we need to wait for that silver to gold ratio to unfold to the downside. However, we are coming, you can see here, downtrend, sideways, and then we are sloping up again here. The mixed moving average has just started to slope up after we broke this 2-year structure. You can just see how clean it is, to be honest, right? Breakout, zooming in here even more, retesting, pretty cool, retesting again. So it is trying to do something good here, but we have finally, made an absolute higher weekly a higher high on the weekly. Potentially, this is the higher weekly low. So we are definitely in an uptrend. It's not the biggest uptrend, I know that, but again, it's still one that we have been accumulating, within here, definitely buying that break there, but also accumulating the lows for aftermath. And yeah, I like aftermath. And one that I like even more, this is on top of my head, easily top three of silver miners, or silver projects, stocks, whatever. Maybe even number one, maybe. I mean, it's just, I really like the chart. The fundamentals, it's been a while since I looked at them, but they have also great fundamentals. Again, I'm not getting anything out of, in reward to say this. I'm just going to give you my honest opinion. This is Abra, in my opinion here, a very long cup and handle, not textbook by any means, because then you would have only the handle to be like this long duration wise. And so, but we did break this very clear squeeze pattern here, and we were all over it upon that break there. Just, it's so, I mean, very precise, basically no closes above, right? Yes, we have some wicks and all that, but I really like the technicals. And now we are both liking here, bullish consolidation. It's sloping upwards. I like Abra. I really, really do. You could also potentially add, yep, exactly, a line over here. And then you can say that's, if we 1, 2, we start 2 pounds, and then potentially we break, and then we are at least going to see $4, in my opinion, on Abra. I really like the technicals, and hopefully that continues for Abra. I have a big position in Abra, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going into lie. AEM, big player, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 40 billion. That's a huge one. There's a lot of things going back here which we need to talk about. You can see here, just we have this zone here between 80 and 90, and we're getting there again, getting, pushed back. We are somewhat stretched here on the shorter time frames. You can see the distance. So I'm expecting consolidation here. That could also lead to that move. And yeah, we bought the break there. Due to, excuse me, it's very clean, right? You have what could also be, inverted head and shoulders, yeah, with this being the measured move. Again, not textbook by any means, but it's, you can definitely make an argument that that is the case also. And we've basically ripped from 55 to almost 80 at one point, and now we are in the 70s. So when and if we clear, when and if, nothing is certain, but when and if we clear, 80 to 90, the zone here, blue skies is up ahead, and you can do some projections depending on how you measure and all that. But again, we could see some big moves when that happens, if that happens. First Majestic is, I think, one of the biggest silver miners that there is. However, also it has been underperforming really badly. And you can see he was still in an overall downtrend, so nothing major. We had some potential here where we had this structure breaking, and yes, we were also buying into that. Huge move, bull flagging, but then it just couldn't keep up, testing again, testing again. I would assume that we have tons of, not tons, but we do have some sort of bullish divergence here on the daily. But definitely, again, First Majestic can't seem to get things going here. And yeah, but for now, at least, we have the weekly higher high, very low, potentially low here, but we shall see how it acts. But we are basically back to the lows in 2018, also 20 here, wick there, and yeah, it's just underperforming for some reason. Here we have IA Gold. Yeah. And yep, this was also one that we looked at on the snap stack here. This is a textbook, by the way. It did follow gold quite a bit. However, textbook, breakout pattern here where we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, 4, and then a little dribble, and then we went higher, bull flagging just below. Beautiful inverted head and shoulders. I like everything that I see. This has a target of 25 up here. Could we see a big, drop down again to the neckline? Sure. Again, that's can easily happen, and that is where you can have your market orders waiting, or limit orders waiting, or wait to see if you get buyers coming in, and then you can buy in. The good thing is stop loss below is easy to place, right? You're basically risking at that point in time, if you want to hit the target, you're basically risking somewhere around this, right? So you're getting a 20 to 1 with, again, 20 to 1. If you just get that right, not you don't even need to get that right that often to be hugely profitable. But overall, still looks really strong here. You can see going back a long time, bullish structures across the board, and overall elliott wave could be, again, I'm not the biggest expert, but could be something like that, maybe overshooting a little bit, right? So I gold here is great. Should you be buying here? No, obviously not. Again, wait for the breakdown, retest, or if we can resume the channel to the upside, that is also your entry. We have a little long-term trend line here. It's not perfect. So again, that I just have it in there as a, just to know that it is there, but I'm not taking it too much into account. Not too much. BTG has also been struggling heavily compared to its peers, and you can see we have a green trend line here, just acting as support ever since. Anything below would obviously be very scary. And yet we bought into it here on that long-term trend line retest. It hasn't really moved, but we are at least going sideways ever since we have basically gone down here with bearish setups all over the place, right? Bear flag, bear flag, bear flag. At least now we're going sideways. And that's, again, we are tiny in the money, but again, nothing major. Hopefully, when and if, right, we start to break out, and then we can enjoy our long-awaited, potential gains here in BTG. This is these broad physical uranium trusts, so not like a miner or anything, but a mix between gold and silver. A fantastic way to play it, in my opinion. This broad physical here for gold and silver, and we turned extremely bullish on gold and silver, a combination of gold and silver, right there in March 2024. Massive move, doing a little bit of it's not the worst, but again, a little bit of a scary pattern here with these tiny blades up here. You can say these tiny higher highs. So again, potentially some rising wedges here, but we shall definitely see. The uptrend is fully intact. We are above big support, and yeah, this is a great way to play it. Should you be buying here? No, in my opinion, you should not. It's not the time to buy here. This was definitely one of them, in my opinion. You can also see here that beautiful inverted head and shoulders. We can do the measured move as well, up to roughly here, right? We add that on top on the break, so we are definitely looking at 26. Where's 26? It is previous all-time high. So again, the alignment is great here for gold and silver, and that surprised me actually. Yeah, I didn't do that beforehand, but that's pretty cool when you have great alignment. That's pretty cool. So again, overall, gold and silver is in an uptrend. We just need to wait for silver to do the outperformance again, back to the silver to gold ratio. We thought we had the big breakdown, earlier this year. The retest didn't hold. We had two major retests that we needed to hold. None of them did, and now we're looking at some potential spiking to the upside. We have 10 more to go. Again, this would be a long video, as said here, but I enjoy doing these videos. Remember, I do them roughly daily on the Substack. Defiance is also one that I like a lot. I have compared to the fact that it is only 60 million, I actually have a decent size in Defiance, buying heavily on the breakout here, and I'm not selling until, well, that's a huge statement, I know, but again, my target is the upper range of this one here. If that happens, I'm a happy man. I will happily get out, and yes, we can go higher. I don't care at that point in time. Technically, I need to sell at roughly $2 if that's the case, if we get there. For now, we had a huge spike here after the breakout. Everyone was excited. We are coming down. I think we even hit the 50%, drawdown, even though we're actually lower now. Okay. but huge high or weekly high here. And what looks like, it's not, confirmed, potentially the higher weekly low. And then we are in for the next one here. So if we are to do like an Elliott wave count, we could, but no, that's a big, if that's the case, if this is the wave one, then wave three has to be longer, right? Yeah, maybe we'll not go into that. Again, I'm not the best at Elliott wave, how to measure them and all that. But again, I definitely have a tiny bit of understanding. Again, this was the major blow off top in the short term here. Everyone was excited, and then we have come down pretty hard. For now, we need this one to hold. And then if we can break to the upside, then again, I think we have the rounding bottom here in play, and then potentially like a handle over here. Again, long-term holding. Yeah. This is for tuna. We turned extremely bullish when we broke 4.20, excuse me. And now we're back again here hitting on that level. And a little bit scary here, you can say. The fact that we are piercing below, you can see the $4.2 here. Again, if we can't hold, we are actually probably going to see the lower of the green here, which again wouldn't be ideal. Also, we have the first, the second here. Potentially, we will see the fifth move there to like a little bit of a bullish divergence on. So yeah, there might be a little bit more downside here if we are to get that bullish divergence. Huge gap to be filled up here. This was it earnings? No, it wasn't earnings. But again, you see a huge gap down here, coming down, testing the lower side of the gap, rolling over, and yeah, can we measure the move here? I guess we can. We can do the low here to there. So we are sitting at the 100% measured move here. From this move down, you measure the potential targets, and GR silver overall, I'm really bullish on this chart here still. If we take the bearish view first, again, we could actually see a drop down to here at the neckline, and that would definitely stink because we bought heavily on the break there. So basically back to break even. But that's also a place to add in. You can also see here a little bit of a channel coming down here, so that would make sense. But we are still in, overall uptrend. And the target for us is 0.38, potentially overshooting, depending on the direction, right? Potentially some overshooting up to the upper golden here. But the target comes from this inverted, very nice technical head and shoulders pattern, inverted head and shoulders pattern, by the way. So that's pretty cool. Hecla. Again, Hecla here is, yes, it is in a shorter termish uptrend. However, until we clear, I want to zoom out a very long time on this one, a very, very, very long time. This goes back like a half a decade. So until we kind of break here, roughly in this vicinity here. Again, we go so far back, it's very difficult to align it here. But we basically need to get above roughly, before I'm convinced here, somewhere between 7 and 8. Then I'm getting excited. So again, Hecla here is still just waiting here. You could argue that we are, again, making some sort of potential double-headed here. That's why I have the blue neckline, basically getting above 6.4. That's when I start to get, interested heavily into Hecla. The mixed moving average going sideways, meaning when that happens, meaning a big move is to be expected in either direction, completely resetting the long-term time frames and building up energy. And hopefully this is the direction, right? That's where we want to be a part of it. IGO, I don't own this one. I will, hopefully. The setup is fantastic. We have a long-term rail here, which we have been breaking, testing like 1,000 times. Basically building up energy for, again, from a probability point of view, this right there. We will be all over it here at roughly 0.25-ish. And then we will be all over that one. If we start to come down here, that would be devastating because I have such a high hope. But if that's the case, we are probably going way lower. There is some support down here, but again, I would expect potentially even more. Mac, good old Maggie. Also one of the players, the silver guys that I think, if I remember correctly, is heavily leveraged to the silver price. Some is more than others. But we have basically broken the wedge pattern here to the downside. We had a little fakey here. You can just see we tagged it here multiple times, fake out. And usually on fake out, you get to the other side of the formation. However, usually it happens faster. But again, we hit it, broke out, bull flagging. Again, if you want to be a part of MAC, you wait for this flag to potentially resolve to the upside. Yeah, you can see it here. This is the bull flag. So when we break potentially, roughly 14, it's a great entry in my opinion. The bearish view right now is that we haven't really tested it, the golden here, so we could see a flush down to roughly 10, and then we will see what happens. MGG, also a small player, roughly 100 million. Downtrend, the moving average is here, so yes, I will still say that we are in a downtrend, even though we are maybe not actually. We have this long trend here broken, where we tested it, then for some reason, huge selling, or I don't know what happened there, liquidity pocket, bull flagging here, up again, bull flagging again. So as long as we charge here, and then hopefully that is the highest likelihood. So we're building up energy now to continue the uptrend. And so wait for this flag to resolve. Or you can buy, the retest here, the test again, and then, but you need to have the stop, a stop just below there. So Newfound Gold, big player, not big, but again, 500 million, kind of big. Still in a downtrend. There's nothing bullish per se, but that doesn't mean that we cannot, be interested, because we have the first impulse, second impulse, and now we are in the third impulse. The only question is if does it stop here in the zone, or do we need to go a little bit lower? But I'm definitely in the camp that we are in the last leg down here ever since we peaked in 2021. And then we're waiting for to see the confirmation. And then we are ready to attack, over here somewhere. But for now, nothing good. Nothing good here. If you want to buy, try to buy low again, there is the big low here in 2021, which we're basically at right now. So anything above, as long as we're above 3.2, it's not looking great. But again, as long as we're above here, I mean, we're not going to collapse. So that's the one takeaway. OCG, also a very small player. You can see here, huge downtrend for like 2 decades, all the way down here. Again, you can see they're not getting hit perfectly, but again, still with confidence that I'll take it. We are squeezing here. Yes, I bought here a tiny bit on that breakout there. Again, this is such a small guy that, again, very small position, very small player, no stop loss. Right or wrong, again, that each to its own right, but that's my tactic when buying into these extremely small guys here. Huge risk, high reward, no stop loss, because if 2 guys want to sell and they have a decent sized position, I mean, it could easily spike down and then snap back. So that's why I don't do that. Again, let me know, guys, in the comments if I'm completely wrong on this one, on that theory. But yeah, so I want to add in more when we get above roughly 0.3 here, taking out this high, and confirm like a weekly breakout. That will probably be ideal. But for now, still neutral. And it can go either way, right? To the others, each side of the apex here. So RSLV, again, we also issued a buy signal down here. This was due to you can see this volume profile. It was the same at that point. There were tons of buying here, and that was support for us at that moment. We rallied, and now we've just fizzled out again back into that zone here. So again, be a little bit careful. 20 million, extremely small guy here. Still overall major downtrend, and yeah, that is Reina. SGD, Snowline Gold, big player, but has been. I had such a high hope here. Again, the people on Substack, maybe I even talked about it once also on the YouTube. I had such a high hope here. And then we just couldn't seem to clear. And now we came all the way back down to the supply zone down here at 4, where we bounced again. So again, we need to break 6 here, 620 roughly. That is when we are turning really bullish. I mean, the range is clear as day. Between 4 and 6 is basically just playing the range. Just play the range until we potentially break out or down. So SIL, SIL, Silver Crest, we turned really bullish here and are still bullish. We have come down from 14 to 10. Again, that's the name of the game in mining. We are into support here, 10, round number, going from 1 to 2 digits or from 2 to 1. But we do have support, as you can see here. There is a little bit going on there at $10. Not saying that you can buy here, but potentially we can see the bounce. Still, the mixed moving is coming up ever so slightly. So yeah, still okay with that. Maybe something technically going on here. It's not, perfect by any means, but potentially like a little bit of a wedgie pattern here. Might be a little bit of a long shot, but again, hey. Wheaton Precious Metals, the last one of the day. Big player, 26 billion. I think it's a royalty streaming, meaning it's not a mine. It's more like they buy into projects and then they get like a percentage of that project. So looks fantastic. I mean, the bigger players looks extremely good. Not gonna lie here. Beautiful inverted head and shoulders. Again, the lower green here, just perfect, just kept along the way. A little bit of an internal level here at roughly 40, which held. And then we finally broke above 50 here, and that was our entry in Wheaton Precious Metals. Yes, we bought like April, so that is almost half a year ago, and we are only, in quotes, only up 12%. It's still good. I still like the entry. Testing still confirming. But yeah, our target is, for some reason it's missing here. I don't know why. Our target is the breakout roughly here. So we're talking $90. That is the target for Wheaton Precious Metals, and we are now at 60, so that's a 50% move. Still, that's pretty cool. So that's all, a big list. And again, if you want the daily updates and these updates here, we have platinum, we have some miscellaneous here, a little bit more misc here. We have crypto, we have obviously uranium, which has been murdered lately, oil, energy. That's what we go through on the Substack. So again, check out if you want to be a part of it. And yeah, have a great weekend, guys, on the YouTube. And as always, stay safe. Cheers, guys.